Okay, so that's actually a little more than 32 minutes because we had that other 5 minute clip that will
Okay,
be in the same folder when I download. So that's good.
that's good. And I'm that ended what I wanted to talk about in
No,
that
that's
first
good.
episode too.
You had asked before about, do we talk about some of the things too much, and should we move on to other topics? And I just think that so much of what we have talked about, and what in some cases we keep coming back to, is just relevant
It
to
is.
everything that's going on. It's not
It
about,
is.
we said earlier, this podcast is not about us.
Yeah.
This I think is the third podcast that can almost be more of a study, and society kind of needs, and they don't know it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I've
I said
come
on.
to that opinion too. So, and also, I'm thinking it's not bad for us to go back because not everybody has been with us from day one.
Right.
And so, and I feel that way about our the expression, because not
Yeah.
everybody was with us last year at this time when we did one thing or another. So it's fine. It's fine for me to recycle some of our articles, and I think Leslie has in mind to do some of that in the coming weeks. Anyway, so the next episode, are we ready for that yet?
It is time.
Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit. No, let me put it this way. Part of what I had,
This is our thankful episode, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I've
So I
spent,
was actually, because I want to edit both of these today because I'm leaving tonight for
right,
Pennsylvania, and putting them on YouTube and Spotify, and time it so that instead this one isn't released Friday. It maybe is released either Wednesday night or definitely Thursday morning, so that it's there for Thanksgiving.
that's fantastic. Well, I have 6 different pieces that I have collected over the past week that respond to the idea of being thankful. And I can talk about them in summary. I can read some of the responses part of the responses that people have shared with us for the Boyertown area expression, which I
Wait a minute,
think
is this a degree
kind
of
of
fan
inspiring.
mail?
Pardon me?
Is this a degree of fan mail?
Yeah,
Even if it's for the expression and not for us, we got to start
exactly.
somewhere.
It's a degree of fan mail. Yes, things that we have, you know, things that we've collected over the past week or so, and some of it's really, really cool. And I probably should have spent more time deciding which piece to present. But if it's okay with you, I'm
Yeah,
going to
let's
talk
do it.
about mine first. Okay.
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm so spoiled. I was and am blessed with a loving family, in good health, born into a caring community, educated and mentored by people who believed in me and encouraged me to achieve. And I'm profoundly grateful to be living in a country, despite all its faults, that's founded on humanity's highest ideas. I am ever thankful. Granted, there's a lot still to be done, challenges to meet, and some today, sadly, quite unexpected. But as long as I'm able, I want to continue efforts to forward the sense of connection that President Barack Obama expressed in an interview with CNN's The Axe Files podcast. Obama offered, quote, "There are still strong communities out there," and of course I think about my own here in Boyertown, "still strong communities, and I think people do long for a sense of connection. I think they still want to believe in something. What I think current leaders," he says, "younger leaders have to figure out is how do we rebuild a political culture, a media culture, a business culture that is worthy of trust." Good point. So
Yeah.
all of us then, right, have to figure out how to be trustworthy. That's our job. Now, I also found, and Ross, I found these things when I was cleaning out some of my files on my computer. I found Barack Obama's thing just serendipitously. And I thought, oh, that works because Leslie wanted me to write a piece about being thankful. So I thought, oh, okay. I am thankful for the ability that I have to perhaps make those connections, try to help people find something to believe in. I'm grateful that I have work that allows me to model or encourage people to be trustworthy. So I thought, okay, that works. But I found it just by accident. And then I also found in the same way a quote from a woman by the name of Pam Grossman. Now, Pam Grossman is the wife of another one of my former student people and the son of another very, very good friend of mine, Susan LeClaire. Her son, Matthew, is Matthew Freeman, and his wife is Pam Grossman, who wrote a book called Waking the Witch. Pam calls herself a witch and has written a book about what that means in today's world. Anyway, what Pam and I found, I had taken a photograph of one of the pages in her book that spoke to me. And again, I just randomly found it in the same file that I found Barack Obama's quote. And it fit perfectly for my thank you or Thanksgiving message. What she writes is this. She writes of what she calls sympathetic magic, which is empathic magic, support, compassion, and mutual consideration that are key ingredients to manifesting prosperity and peace for everyone. And here's the part that resonates with me most. Lifting each other up whenever possible is how we'll truly take to the skies. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Lifting each other up is what really will take us to the skies. I just love that quote. So that was my Thanksgiving message.
Yeah,
I want to continue to rebuild a world worthy of trust as the lift, the hope for tomorrow in our times today. There, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's so odd with the way we do this. I hear a pause and I think, okay, she's finished. So
I know.
And we still have, as much as we use a camera to, go off of each other's actions, there's still a delay. It catches us sometimes. I just said that my day trading coach has a similar, I don't remember exactly what it is because he's moved on to other coaching things now. He doesn't do one-on-ones anymore. But it was something similar about, we rise. Oh, that's it. We rise by lifting others.
Nice.
And when you said about the trustworthiness, well, that's Secret Service. Our slogan is worthy of trust and confidence. Mm-hmm. But also Yergz Radio, in that, we're trying, whatever news stories we do, we're trying to bring authenticity and accuracy back to journalism. Mm-hmm. And believe me, I'm not calling myself a journalist. I'm a podcaster and a guy that presses play to automate, replaying podcasts. But look at Jessica Skelton. Mm-hmm. I'm thankful for the signs that I see in society. Phil Haddad, local Boyertown celebrity, refused to talk to me after that episode.
Really?
Yeah. He was pissed. Wow. I pissed in those Cheerios. And in 2 recent occasions, he put that aside to actually seek my advice. Now, granted, there's the level of, obviously he needed something. Mm-hmm. But he was recently assaulted at the YMCA.
Phil?
Yeah. Yeah, in the hallway, this kid that he coached in basketball, he told me the name. I didn't recognize it, and I don't want to repeat it in case I
Right,
mispronounce it
right,
and
right. Yeah,
like
don't.
somebody else.
Yeah.
But a kid that he coached in basketball, in his estimation, 15 years ago. Now it's probably 15 minutes ago, but 15 years ago, didn't like him, and essentially he and his father were responsible for, in his words, getting him fired. Like it's the NBA or something.
Oh boy.
And so there's this. He didn't wanted to play point guard, and Phil needed him to play point guard, and he put him in at point guard, and that was seemingly the end of it. So there's the pissing match that results. And 15 years later, Phil checks in at the desk and is heading down the hall to start the workout. And this guy says something to him like, "Yeah, you better keep walking," or some shit like that,
Mm-hmm.
with his dad standing right there, the other guy that got Phil fired. And the dad calls the kid off, who, by the way, is now 15 years older.
Right, right, right.
He's an
Yep, yep,
adult.
yep, yep.
Unless he was 2 years old, he's an adult. Uh, and the kid walks after him. Long story short, the kid walks after him and pushes him. And the executive director, like, I don't know who that is, but in my day, the Melanie Roth of the YMCA was called out to the lobby, and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's determined that if this kid does that again, he and his father will be, excommunicated from the YMCA.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to know if he should press charges. And I just basically told him that only you can answer that question, but you have to evaluate the same thing that somebody else told him: is it worth it? Is it worth the hassle? Have you been actually hurt?
Mm-hmm.
It's embarrassing to be in a situation like that, but are you physically injured or emotionally injured? And then, like I said, only you can make that decision. But just the fact that he knew that I was a former police officer
Mm-hmm.
from, 2 years retired, 21 years in the Secret Service, where the only assault I care about is the president, or,
Right.
any other protectee or our colleagues, that he still wanted my opinion. And, that's, I hope, a sign that so many others in the world are reconsidering some of their current positions.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did an episode about it on the radio show, but I did a Facebook post because that became rather popular, not popular, but famous. Back in like May, my uncle's daughter and son got in an argument with her husband. The daughter and the husband are paired on one side, and the son on the other, about, I'm sure you can guess, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the validity of Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
My male cousin is a Biden fan, and the female cousin, apparently it's a general consensus of the family, supports her husband, and that's it. Whether she actually feels this way or not, she's on the Trump side, on the Trump train. Subsequently, they've not spoken since.
Wow.
They missed, that was at a Memorial Day picnic at my uncle's house, which is a big deal for him. He likes having this particular picnic. And there was something else that, her kids' birthdays, my mom was not invited to because she failed in her assignment of getting me to take that post down off Facebook. And the irony of this whole situation, as far as my involvement goes, is the video that was a part of this post where I tagged them and intentionally got their attention,
Mm-hmm.
was from someone else that I really look up to, who we mentioned in the past, Gary Vaynerchuk, an immigrant American who's now a multimillionaire because he had some common sense and some smarts. And his message in that video, had they taken the time to watch it like I asked, was that you cannot let your family come before politics. And that's why you don't talk about politics and religion at the dinner table. And they both made that mistake, both sides,
Mhm.
both cousins. And they haven't talked 6 months later.
Mhm.
And my uncle, again, without mentioning any names, because I clearly made that mistake in the past, gave them an ultimatum. He said, I'm not going to two different parties anymore. Because my male cousin wasn't invited to, along with my mom, they were not invited to my female cousin's kids' birthdays. Up until that point, my mom babysat for those kids.
Mhm.
And they love coming to Aunt Susie's.
Mhm.
They haven't been there since, and they're trying to find out why. Now, what do you say to 8 and 10-year-old kids that you
Right.
got parents who aren't as mature as they are?
I take it you're not destined to see these people this coming week?
Oh, you could not be more wrong.
So everybody's getting together, even though they haven't spoken to each other for 6 months?
This is the thing Saturday night. Uh,
Oh,
this is the thing Saturday night. At another aunt in that same side of the family is having a big cocktail party. It's not a dinner, I don't think, but there might be a shit ton of leftovers that people can eat if they're still there.
well, I'd love to be there, fly on the wall.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I have been blocked from their social media. The Trump side blocked from their
Okay.
social media. When in all actuality, I looked. I don't know why I looked this up, but I did. She's got my phone number.
Yeah.
She didn't have to message me off. She could have called if it really meant that much.
Yeah.
She was concerned about her professional. And it was not the cousin that you interviewed, by the way. Um, it was another one on that same side of the family. She was concerned about her now professional reputation throughout town. And I'm like,
Whoa.
you support a traitor. I think it's already pretty fucked up.
My God. Well, I'll admit to you, and it follows about not talking religion and politics at the Thanksgiving table. I don't want to know if people I know are Trump supporters because it changes me. It
Oh yeah, I'm
changes
done.
my relationship.
Both my brothers were, and this is sad, but my Facebook, I don't even know what the fuck they're called. Logo, my Facebook profile picture
There you go.
is not a picture. It is a quote about what you, as a Trump supporter, need to consider when you support Trump. He removed protections for my employment within just a few years of my retirement.
Wow.
And the Secret Service tried, as we talked about, to find things that they could possibly fire me for
Hmm.
just for being gay. They could not have done that under Obama, and they can no longer do it under Biden. And this guy has said that he's going on the same witch hunt
Hmm.
that he endorsed back in 2016. At one of my favorite memes, whatever. After he had his gardener or caddy or somebody at Mar-a-Lago,
Hmm.
there's a picture of the two of them standing on a golf course. And the bubble that he's saying is, I want you to delete all that information that's on the server.
Hmm.
And the employee's bubble back to him is, you do see the irony in this, don't you? Meaning referring to Hillary Clinton
Hmm.
and the Lock Her Up campaign slogan. And that's one of the things that it's to a point now where I'm fascinated with the unfortunate determination. But I think also, to talk about that moral development, the outright ego and or stupidity
Mm-hmm.
of roughly a third of the country.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But to see Phil put his ego aside and come ask me for help makes me thankful we've got that possibility and gives me hope that the
Well,
next year goes in the right
that's a
direction.
that's a tiny slice of it, but I suppose we should hang on to that. And I think also, as we kind of get back to, being thankful, and I suppose what you have just said is that you're thankful for tiny pieces of light that slip through and create some sort of openness in the way people see things. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the other thing that pisses in my Cheerios heavily is when people say that we're a Christian nation. Something
Okay.
like 35 or 37, 30 something percent of our founding fathers were what today we would call atheists.
Mm-hmm.
George
Deists.
Washington being one of them. Correct. Yes, they were actually called deists, which
Deists.
means
Yeah.
that their faith is in the goodness of their fellow man. That's what they worship. That painting of Washington on his knee praying at Valley Forge is bullshit. He did not pray. That's a
Well,
fact.
in the expression, my image for my thank you article was a meme I found on Facebook that said, um, Jesus was not a Christian.
Jesus is one of the
Muhammad,
most popular
Muhammad
Christians
was
in
not a
history.
Muslim.
Yeah,
Buddha was not a Buddhist. They were teachers. And what they taught was love. And their religion then was love. And I thought that was a really, really poignant way of saying what you just said.
yeah, yeah. My friend Steve Cruz, I knew him since my days in San Francisco. He just posted something very similar. It was a cartoon drawing of all those religious leaders: Buddha, the
Muhammad.
Buddha, the Shiva, the blue elephant from India, Jesus. All of them like a group photo. And it was something like there's no such thing as individual religions, just one idea or something like that.
Mhm. Yep.
Like, you know, religion has its place and has good meaning if you just look at the spirituality of it
Right.
as
And
opposed
it's,
to organized religion.
yeah. And, all roads lead to Rome. So all
Yeah.
religions should lead to. And there are other memes that say if you are in a religion that teaches and preaches and endorses hate, then you're in the wrong religion. So
Yeah,
I
well,
think that's true as well.
that's what I was about to say. When you started saying about Jesus not being a Christian and so on,
Buddha, yeah.
the far well, no, the whole right that claims to be Christian and faith based people are closing the borders to refugees
Mm-hmm.
when they worship probably one of the most famous refugees in history.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how is that doing what Jesus would do?
Yep. Yep. And while I can certainly understand the concerns about not having proper housing and proper food and all that for the many people who are crossing into the country, we got to figure out some way to handle things. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just a mess.
I was actually thinking about that just today, um, in hearing about how the Republican Party wants to close the borders and build walls and this, that, and the other thing. 40 years ago, whenever it was, well, I'll tell you when it was. It was, the spring or maybe summer of 1980 when George H.W. Bush was still running against Ronald Reagan in the Republican primary. they were at a debate, and they were asked, how would you solve the issue of illegal immigration? They both said, open the borders. That doesn't mean tear down the wall or unlock all of the gates during closed hours. It just means, evaluate these people coming and realizing, Ron DeSantis here in Florida, the moment he signed that legislation earlier this summer or last spring, where they were cracking down on illegal immigration in Florida, construction sites all over the state lost hundreds of employees each.
Right.
Because these people were afraid to come to work.
Right.
Like it was going to be a sting.
Yep.
And now I got so many so-called contractors. Excuse me. I'll try to edit out the coughs. I've got so many so-called contractors in my neighborhood who I can't get off their sofa. One guy I paid to, finish some of the things in my house that haven't been done in 2 years. Do you think that guy's going to go to a construction site and work even harder labor than what he could have done finishing trim? Mm-hmm. These are jobs that we need to have done that, our white Christians are too lazy to do.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm thankful that we've got whatever level of so-called illegal immigrants. And I get it. They are illegal. I don't need to call them that. This is me being a little bit more on the conservative side. I don't need to call them undocumented. That's still illegal. Mm-hmm. Or the unhoused, which equals homeless.
Yep.
I'm thankful for those people. For the dishwashers that care that your dishes are actually clean at your favorite restaurant. Mm-hmm. And go there to and from work on a bike in pouring down rain. Mm-hmm. For $11 or less an hour. Not even overtime would get me enough money to pay my mortgage, let alone the rest of the bills.
Right.
They're living somewhere. I'm thankful I'm not them.
So much.
And help them out.
So much. So many things, so many challenges we have in front of us, so many things to be thankful for. Now, I don't know where we are in our timing, but I really want to share something else I found on the internet. Like I said, I had 6 things to share with you. This is only the second.
Right.
But for Thanksgiving. But the rest of the things that I found can be found on the Boyertown Area Expression news site. And I hope folks will take a few minutes and visit the site and be inspired by some of the articles and some of the things that some of our readers shared with us that they are thankful for. But I found one other thing on the internet that I'd like to share with you. And it's by Danielle Laporte. Okay. And it goes like this. Right now, there are Tibetan Buddhist monks in a temple in the Himalayas, endlessly reciting mantras for the cessation of your suffering and for the flourishing of your happiness. Someone you haven't met yet is already dreaming of adoring you. Someone is writing a book that you will read in the next 2 years that will change how you look at life. Nuns in the Alps are in endless vigil, praying for the Holy Spirit to alight the hearts of all of God's children. A farmer is looking at his organic crops and whispering, nourish them. Someone wants to kiss you, to hold you, to make tea for you. Someone is willing to lend you money, wants to know what your favorite food is, and treat you to a movie. Someone in your orbit has something immensely valuable to give you for free. Something is being invented this year that will change how your generation lives, communicates, heals, and passes on. The next great song is being rehearsed. Thousands of people are in yoga classes right now, intentionally sending light out from their heart chakras and wrapping it around the earth. Millions of children are assuming that everything is amazing and will always be that way. Someone is in profound pain, and a few months from now, they'll be thriving like never before. From where they are, they just can't see it. Someone who is craving to be partnered, to be acknowledged, to arrive, will get precisely what they want and even more. And because that gift will be so fantastical in its reach and sweetness, it will be quite magically alter their memory of angsty longing and render it all so worth the wait. Someone has recently cracked open their joyous, genuine nature because they did the hard work of hauling years of oppression off of their psyche. This luminous juju is floating in the ether and is accessible to you. Someone, just this second, wished for world peace in earnest. Some civil servant is making sure that you get your mail and your garbage is picked up, that the trains are running on time, and that you are generally safe. Someone is dedicating their days to protecting your civil liberties and clean drinking water. Someone is regaining their sanity. Someone is coming back from the dead. Someone is genuinely forgiving the seemingly unforgivable. Someone is curing the incurable. You, me, someone now. That gives me chills.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
What do you think?
Yeah, that was cool. And it's I think something that needs to be said, frequently. So definitely publish that.
It's about hope. It's about hope. It's
Yeah.
about possibility. And it's about believing that there are good things and good people around us. Just like the Desiderata says, despite all its drudgery, sham, and broken dreams, it's still a beautiful world.
I can't help but wonder if that's why the MAGAs accuse the left of still having Barack Obama run the country, because secretly they wish his hope was still here.
Yep. I would
Because
like to think so.
I think that's the only legitimate reason where any MAGA supporter at this point can save face, is that they're too ashamed to admit that they've been fooled by a professional liar. And this is something that he's been, for lack of better terms, convicted of before
Well,
he ever ran for president.
how do we get past Biden is too old? How do we get past, I mean, young people today choosing Trump over Biden? How do we turn that?
I think that's gonna. I think that's gonna change. First of
Okay.
all, I don't think the majority is supporting Trump over Biden.
Okay.
And I said that in one of my episodes. I said that with I don't
You
remember.
did.
Oh, that one Saturday night show with David, but I've said it here, and I did
Yep.
an episode on it. If you look at the independent, now look at overall fundraising is not a good thing to do because a lot of that's corporate. But if you
Right.
look at the independent fundraising that comes from the hard-earned money of the people who are donating it, it's for a reason. And Biden is towering over Trump. And I think because part of it, I have to guess, I have nothing to support this, because I actually want to have Trump supporters to the association building and ask them, what is the appeal?
Mm-hmm.
And give them, here, well, it's a witch hunt. Well, if that's the case, it's the monkeys hunt, the winged monkeys hunting the witch, because every single witness against him is a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
most from his administration.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's so good at picking the best people, I can tell you 4 years where he screwed up if they're so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's him. But I'm not going to come off confrontational with them. I just want to hear,
You want to
what
hear?
what the appeal is.
I
And
tried to do that. I tried to do that with a Be Inspired podcast a number of years ago, right at the beginning of COVID, to ask a good friend of mine. And I had planned a whole series of Be Inspired episodes of talking to people I knew who supported him to say, please explain to me because I don't understand. And I talked to only one and recorded a Be Inspired episode with one of my friends that was never released and will never be released, because to me it was so impossible to get through, to get through the bullshit.
were you trying to talk them out of it?
No, I just
Or,
wanted to know, but
yeah,
I just couldn't,
that
I
was
couldn't stand
David
it because it was such
Sandberg.
a, because they were so, what do you say? What do I want to say? They were so gaslighted,
Determined. Yeah,
hoodwinked. Okay.
yeah,
And I couldn't, without insulting them. And it was a friend,
yeah,
and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I said, nah, I'm not doing that, because I would have had to insult them to say, how the hell can you believe that? What
yeah.
about this, and this? I couldn't. It would have been too confrontational, and I just couldn't do it.
I did
So,
kind of sort of the same thing with Jessica Skelton. I
mm-hmm,
didn't even present all the evidence that I had.
mm-hmm,
And I didn't say that she was lying. I
mm-hmm,
said there's some discrepancies.
mm-hmm.
She was lying.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
how do we want to close our Thanksgiving show today?
Well, I know one of the other things I'm thankful for is a good way to wrap up from my end.
Okay.
That tonight I am not driving to Orlando.
Well, yay! You were
I
able to
don't know.
secure a direct flight from Tampa.
No, I always had a direct flight from Tampa.
Oh,
Could you imagine if I didn't discover that until I was at the counter in Orlando?
you would have been so pissed.
Oh
Yes.
my God. So, good news
Yay.
is we don't have to sit there all night. The bad news is we're probably going to leave around the same time anyway, and then we'll sit there all night. But yeah, it's to the nearby Tampa International Airport as opposed to Orlando International Airport.
That's good.
So, yeah, thankful that I found that in time. Thankful that I don't have to do the stressful 2 hour drive.
Excellent.
Thankful that we will be able to record an episode in person. Uh,
Yay.
or yeah, two if we do the same format.
Yeah.
It will just not be on the Monday morning like it usually is, obviously,
Yeah.
because Monday morning at this time next week, I will probably just be waking up.
Sounds good.
So,
Sounds good.
and also, you can find me at yergz.com, Yergz. Yergz Radio is found on the Up the Middle tab. However, that particular link is now obsolete. Just go to the homepage, look at the ticker that goes across, and there's a quick blurb in all capitals. You can't miss it. Use that link in the ticker to go to our new host.
Very good.
There's a bunch of I've already put in the time before I was waiting for us to record today. I put enough up there that we've got about 8 hours of material that we can just repetitively go through until I get back next week and
That sounds good.
put out a better schedule.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing you in person.
Yes,
It will be a lot of fun.
absolutely.
Okay.
How about you? Where can we find you?
You can find me as usual on Spotify or on a variety of your favorite podcast platform. Be Inspired, or at the Boyertown Area Expression. That's the news site that Leslie and I do together. Okay. In the meanwhile, I'm Jane Stahl,
And I'm Yergz.
and this is
Both sides now.
There you go. Take care. See you soon.
All right, everybody. Yes, very soon.